Summertime is heating up at Global Voice Broadcasting. Hot music, hot talk, and hot topics. All day, every day, 24/7. You don't want to miss a minute on Global Voice Broadcasting.
I highly recommend Ms. Hicks. Her books, her CDs are encouraging.
I bought her book, A Hill to Climb. She's a very inspirational speaker.
And I look forward to one day being able to work with her.
Your power lies within you. Let it loose.
Aspiration, inspiration, motivation, edification, determination. These are the keys of life success, brought to you by none other than award-winning author, motivational lecturer, business consultant, and much more as she gets you aimed to your purpose. And now, ladies and gentlemen, young and elder, from Hollywood to the entire world, here is your host of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, Louise Hicks, along with her co-host, yours truly, Kennon Wesley Mason.
Viola Davis, How to Get Away with Murder.
This is the first Emmy win and nomination for Viola Davis, who is a graduate of Juilliard.
I see a line. And over that line, I see green fields and lovely flowers and beautiful white women with their arms stretched out to me over that line. But I can't seem to get there no how. I can't seem to get over that line. That was Harriet Tubman in the 1800s. And let me tell you something. The only thing that separates women of color from anyone else is opportunity. To the Taraji P. Hensons, the Kerry Washingtons, the Halle Berrys, the Nicole Beharies, the Megan Goods, to Gabrielle Union, thank you for taking us over that line. Thank you for the Television Academy. Thank you.
Hello, world. How's everybody today? And welcome to Aim to Purpose, the radio show. I'm Louise Hicks, your host.
And I am your co-host, Kennon Mason, and I want to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone listening and watching Aim to Purpose, the radio show, as we broadcast live here on Global Voice Broadcasting.
And we have a powerful, amazing show for you today. And I showed this video at the beginning of the show because I watched the Emmys last night. And Viola Davis's being the first black woman to receive this award was profound in her speech. And I found it so profound that I wanted to bring it to the world to share in this defining moment where she brought such a great contrast from the 19th century, believe it or not, into the 21st century. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And such a contrast here using the words of Harriet Tubman. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about that because it's not just unique what she said to the entertainment industry. That goes across all spectrums of life. I can certainly identify with the words that she had to say. And because at 64, I have gone through some of the same things that she talked about. And her comment was such a profound statement. And I just wanted to talk about it. You have anything to say about it, Dan?
Well, I mean, you know, when you have someone that wins an award like this, there always seems to be something or someone that can spoil or ruin the moment for the people that work so hard. They work all their lives. Viola Davis is a Juilliard graduate, which is one of the most prestigious art and acting schools here in America. And there was a report, or I guess
trending,
something that was trending the very next day or later on was another actress from General Hospital that had some comments to say that weren't so positive about Viola Davis winning her Emmy Award.
Yeah, and that was striking, and that's why I wanted to bring this moment on, because it was a profound, defining moment in history, as well as a teaching moment where we all can broaden our scope into reality and the 21st century. And this person that was referenced, I had never heard of this person, an actress on General Hospital, the soap opera, by the name of Nancy Lee Grahn. I think that's how you pronounce it, Grahn. And she made some very nasty statements here, and I can just highlight a couple of them. One was that she felt that Viola Davis was using this Emmy platform for racial opportunity, and also she felt that Viola Davis had not been subjected to discrimination in Hollywood. And I found that very remarkable, coming from this woman who has, I'm sure, been privileged because of her ethnicity. And I'm coming from the perspective of humanity. And I felt that was a humanitarian opportunity to shine light on ignorance and judgment without knowing, because when you don't know someone and you don't know their journey, how can you make statements like this? And later I understand that those statements were deleted by her. However, the damage was already done. So how can you delete something that's in your heart already?
Yeah, that's right. Once you put it out there like that, I mean, if it's something that people will grab a hold onto, there is no turning back. It's gone viral now, so there is no turning back whether you delete it or not. The damage has been done, not so much to Viola Davis, because she deserved to win her award. She is a very exceptional actress.
Yes, she is.
And, and it's okay to praise your peers, because you're all in this together. Halle Berry did the same thing when she won her Oscar. She praised Vivica Fox. She praised her peers, other actresses that are going in the same direction that she's going, and it's okay, because they're all. It's like a sisterhood. You're all in this together, and it should be accepted as you all doing this together.
Particularly from females, no matter what ethnic background you are.
That's right.
Because females struggle, period, and then black females struggle even more so. And like I said, I can attest to this. This is broader than the entertainment industry.
Right.
And I know for a fact, because I endured some of these same things that Viola talked about in my career in the county of Los Angeles. And I'm now retired from the county of Los Angeles, but I encountered so much prejudice and hatred as a result of what I accomplished and the things that I had done in Los Angeles County. So it's just something we just needed to kind of talk about a little bit. And the reason being because it really is in alignment with our guest today. We have a very dynamic, amazing, phenomenal woman that's coming on the show today. And we're going to take a break before we bring her on. But she is going to talk about this. And our topic today is life, fitness, and higher wisdom. And we're going to have a conversation with Miss Leigh Hickombottom. And I hope I said your name right, Leigh. But we're going to have a conversation. We're going to have a great conversation with her. And what we're going to do is take a break, and we're going to let her hone in on what we were discussing, too, because I'm sure she has encountered some of these things that we've talked about as well. And this needs to be talked about. We just can't continue to sweep things under the rug, because this is how we bridge the cultural gap, and this is how we get rid of the stereotypes. lives. This is how we break down the barriers here that are still floating around here in the 21st century.
That's right, and that's what Aim to Purpose, the radio show, is about. It is about bridging the cultural gap because this is a global broadcast. So certain things that are happening here, they are happening in other parts of the world. We just had the South African founder of the Satma Awards. You know, when people win their awards, there are other people that will, quote, hate on you.
Sure will. There are some haters out here.
You know, and it happens all over the world. It's unfortunate, but people bring that kind of energy to a positive table and try to steal your shine. So with that, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with our special guest, Leigh Hickombottom, as our topic today is life, fitness, and higher wisdom. As we're holding up the book here, we're going to talk about that as well, and Still I Smile.
Right, and the book is In Still I Smile, An Optimistic Guide to Life, Fitness, and Higher Wisdom by Leigh Hickombottom.
That's right. And so with that, we're going to be right back, and don't you go nowhere. This edition of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, is brought to you by L. Hicks Consulting Services. When you want the best in business coaching, life coaching, or perhaps your organization, business, or company is in need of a dynamic speaker for an upcoming workshop or seminar, contact Louise Hicks for L. Hicks Consulting Services at 1-562-310-1495. From anywhere around the world, that's 1-562-310-1495. For more information about Louise Hicks and her consulting services, visit her website at www.louisehicks.biz. Again, that's www.louisehicks.biz. Or call 1-562-310-1495. L. Hicks Consulting Services, where professionalism is top priority.
Hello, world, again. Once again, I'm Louise Hicks, your host of Aim to Purpose Radio Show, along with my son and co-host, Kennon Wesley Mason. And what we're going to do now is go ahead and introduce our guest. We're going to give you a little bio on her and tell you about this phenomenal woman that we're going to have a conversation with today.
Yes. There we go. Leigh Hickombottom is a fitness model, trainer, author, speaker, and mother. Leigh is the publisher and editor of Shesique Magazine and Shesique Publications. She's been featured in magazines such as Oxygen, Muscular Development, Muscle and Fitness Hers, among many others. She has also written a mini autobiography and self-help book entitled And Still I Smile, as well as 7 Tools That Transform. Leigh is currently lives in Florida with her children. Fitness is her area of interest and passion. She aids different charities that make it their mission to help those in need. This is Leigh's 3rd book and makes for a dynamite review, interview, and inspiring story. So let's have a warm Aim to Purpose welcome to our special in-studio guest, Leigh Hickombottom.
Not in studio. She is calling in.
Yes, she's calling in actually from Florida. That's right.
We wish we had her in the studio. Hi, Leigh. We wish we had you in the studio, but that's okay. We got your picture up here, nice. So everybody can see you.
We'll get you in the near future. How about that?
Yes, we will.
That sounds like a plan. I like that.
Yeah. Right. So when you come to California, just let us know ahead of time. But we have a picture of you here, so our viewers can see how fit you really are.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
And how beautiful you really are.
I appreciate that.
and we were sharing with our audience at the top of the hour. We were talking about the Emmy last night and how eloquently Viola Davis spoke and brought us from, unfortunately, the 19th century up to the 21st century, which was amazing.
That was something else. That was a very moving time that she got to the words that she was able to say. And I just want to, because I was listening to you guys talk a little while ago.
Oh, yeah.
And I wasn't aware of the Nancy situation. But again, like you were saying, it's someone trying to come to a positive event and then change it into something that's, not so positive and still to shine it. And it also, seeing it from a different perspective, it also shows you that this still exists.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's right.
What we're dealing with still exists, period. So it actually, her deleting it, like another thing, it's once it hits the internet, it's up there forever.
It's over.
Whether she takes it down or not.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes, because it's been trending, I tell you, and those words and the whole write-up is still out there, and it was trending all over the place. And this actress, I had never heard of her, but apparently she's a soap opera actress on General Hospital. And that's unfortunate that people put out hateful statements like that without knowing a person, and that's so sad.
It really is. It really is, and that goes. And you were saying, and this is funny because when I was listening to her talk, I actually got like a teary-eyed because it's funny because it happens, and it's
That's
not
right.
just just the entertainment, the acting world. It is something that's in all aspects of life and different careers. So it's not just that, and it was funny, and it kind of touched home.
And
so
you're
it was,
right.
it needed to be said, and I applaud her 100% for the way she said it and the way she commended her peers.
Yes, I applaud her as well, and that's why I wanted to share that, because in the conversation with you, Leigh, we are talking about life, fitness, and higher wisdom, and that showed a lack of wisdom in the greatest capacity of what wisdom really stands for. And we're going to get into some of the conversation with you, and thank you so much for joining us today with such a profound conversation that we're going to have with you, and this book that you have written, And Still I Smile, an optimistic guide to life, fitness, and higher wisdom. Very well written, and you really share some, you share some transparent things. And the first thing I want to talk about is betrayal, because you talk about being betrayed and abuse in the beginning of the book, your life journey. And we're not going to talk about everything in the book because we don't want to give the book away. We want our viewers and listeners to go out and read it. But
That's right.
Yeah, but share a little bit with us about your parents and the betrayal and how that impacted your life.
So my parents are very, I grew up, I was telling you before the show. And,
right, yeah, we had a little conversation before the show, everybody, in case you're wondering what that's about.
So, I kind of want to share this as well on radio, but I've never, like some of the things that I've endured, I mean, there's certain things I didn't endure until adult, but coming, straight out the gate, the birth situation, and then jumping into the betrayal, as I call it, from, an adult or someone a child's supposed to look up to or feel safe around. My parents, they work 9-to-5 jobs. Both of my parents have master's degrees. And they were busy at work, so they did what any good parent would do. They had us with who they thought themselves were safe people for myself, and I have a twin brother, so he was involved as well too. They had someone watching us, and so as a child, we're there, and then without going into detail, I mean, you're more than welcome to read, but we were molested as children by what I consider strangers, because these weren't people that we knew. They weren't family. These were people that my parents hired paid help to help watch us and make sure we're safe while they were working hard for us, for the roof over our head and the food. So and that was a young age, and at that age, I think then I had it's like boundaries overstepped. So early on, I have a boundary issue, and it's coming from an adult, and it kind of hardened me a little instantaneously in dealing with and not trusting, and it brings up trust automatically. So I'm dealing with boundaries and trust issues with adults and people that I'm told to that I can trust and stuff. So it was scary. It was sad. I didn't tell my parents until I was older. My dad, and even when telling him, I think he was in shock, and he was like, I think he half believed it. He really didn't believe it, that something could happen, and then he couldn't do anything about it at that point, because I was at the time, I told him I was much older, so but it left a scar.
I'm sure it did.
While you heal, scars still remain.
Oh yes.
So, and then your interactions and experiences with people from our childhood, we're affected by it through our adulthood.
Oh yes.
It's a process, so it cautions us, and then we build up walls, and then unless we're trying to heal in the process of healing ourselves, and even when we heal ourselves, we still have that memory. It doesn't go away. So
I can imagine.
It was not a fun,
Yeah, I can imagine, because you had great parents, and you talk about your parents in the book, and I'm sure it was difficult for them to wrap their mind and their brains around what had happened to you. And did this situation that you encountered, did that have anything to do with you becoming, quote unquote, a rebellious teenager? Because you talk about your teenage years and a little bit about rebellion and some hospital stay. You want to talk just briefly about that? Because like I said, we want people to read the book, so we don't want to give away the book, but we want to give some insight so that they will be eager to go out and read the book, because what Leigh shares is so necessary and needed to help others redefine their lives and help you to live a better life.
Definitely. Yeah, it's funny you asked that, because no one's ever asked that. But yes, in all honesty, I think that experience so early on, being a toddler, for something to happen like that, I think always in my mind, I'm like, it's like you want to go against authority, basically, because the authority are the people that I'm taught to trust. And even then, and even in other parts of the book, which you haven't brought up, which is good, I had other boundary issues or dealing with authority. And so I felt like at that time, when I got in my rebellious stage, I was just like, I just want to be me. I want to be free. I want to live. And my parents are very loving, but they were pretty strict.
Oh, yeah. So, oh, yeah.
and that's good. That's good. I mean,
that's a good thing.
They protected me the best way. And I agree. They protected me the best way I could. I was raised in, I went to Catholic school. Up until about 7th grade. So I had always had rules. And during all this time, I had seen what I was told was different from the life experiences from what I was feeling inside when I started gaining my own connections to God and to angels at the time, even at that young age. So I felt, my parents, I'd ran away, dated some guy, came back. My parents, again, doing the best that they could, and me not understanding, they put me in a psych hospital. And initially it was supposed to be for a day or so, and it wound up being much longer than that. And again, that me being in there, traumatized, because I knew there was nothing wrong. I was just rebellious.
Right.
It happens to many teens. There's no craziness going on. While there were people in there that really, there might have been a chemical imbalance or something was they seriously had problems, psychiatric problems. So it again went to the trust. And, after that, I'm like, the one person, my dad was always the one person that I trusted. The one person in the world that I did trust and I always felt safe with was letting me down. So that was another scar and trauma. I literally, as an adult, it still disappoints me, forgiving my parents, because again, we go through these experiences to grow.
Oh yes,
and
absolutely.
Not to stay in a victim mode, but it makes me who I am today, having gone through everything I've gone through. But it was pretty traumatizing, because he's the only person I trusted and believed in, and then having to see what was going on the inside of the facility. And I felt like because it was kids, so I felt like these kids weren't even getting love from from the people. And it's not about love, but showing compassion, human compassion. And I felt like it was more like about money, and let's give this kid this drug, or let's not listen to them, let's do this, this, and this, and just let's make like me. They knew nothing was wrong, but I still stayed there. Because they told my dad they thought I should stay there, even though nothing was wrong.
Yeah.
So it's just, the system and just disappointing, I guess, my experiences with humans, and it kept, okay, here's another wall I'm going to have to build up. Started off with wood, going to bricks, moving to steel, hitting titanium.
Right.
So,
oh yeah. And I get that. I get that as a mother myself of a son that had become rebellious after having cancer at the age of 14, which inspired my award-winning book, A Hill to Climb, A Teenager's Battle with Cancer, Depression, and Drug Addiction, because of the troubles and things that we went through, and I'm still going through it. And I put my son in a rehab because he had gotten so involved in drugs, and he was mentally ill and so forth. But knowing and looking back now, I didn't understand, and probably like your parent, how to go about getting him detox after the chemo and all the drugs that had been pumped into his body, and not understanding sometimes as parents, we do what we think is best for our children because we want to protect them. And today I still struggle with my son, who's 34 now and overcame the cancer, but still battling the drug addiction and depression and so forth. And it's difficult dealing with the system because you get no help hardly, because we are in a crisis in this system when it comes to things. And it's something interesting I just want to read right quick that you said in the book. You said, I know I did not need psychologists and detainment. I needed love and was not going to get it from the type of facility. My dad tried to soothe me. I know he felt my pain and could not bear to see me cry, but he was all he could do. But this was all he could do. And I certainly can identify with that, with probably how your parents must have felt and how you had to have felt at that time as well, because you were a teenager, right?
Yes, exactly, exactly. It's like, wait, what do you mean?
No.
I'm just disagreeing with you. I'm like, what's going on? And, you know, I think I was going back again to the love from that experience. And now my interactions with people, that you won't get a judgment off, unless I'm making jokes, because I joke in my private life a lot.
Right.
But in all seriousness, when I'm serious, there won't be a judgment off of me. We need compassion, and instead of trying to kill these kids up, we should listen to them and say, hey, what's going on? Why are you? Why did you do this? How are you feeling? What made you do this? And because they have serious emotions that are pent up, and they have nobody to talk to, or they don't have outlets. And as a child, I had an outlet of writing, but then when the writing wasn't there, you know, or when I wasn't writing, I had no outlet. And it's like nobody wants to listen because you're a child.
That's right.
We can learn from children.
That's right.
And you're so right, because we had Dr. Gary Coles on our show, who is a medical doctor who had experience with this type of emotions and kids being drugged up and labeled with all of these different labels. And he shed light on that too. Just what you just said. You need to get to the root of the problem of what's going on with the child instead of trying to drug them, creating problems in the child.
Exactly.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I learn something from my daughter every single day. You know, I mean, it's a learning experience, and children do need to be, they deserve to be heard, because, I mean, they have to grow up in a society. They're going to become adults at some point, and they need to have an understanding of what it is to be an adult, but they won't know how if the adults won't take the time to listen to them.
Exactly.
I
totally agree.
And that's serious. And you know, speaking of teaching, you talk about teaching, and I love education. I love giving back to the community. Those are some of the things that are most significant to me, is giving. And that's why I do this show and sponsor this show, because I want to give. This is my second career. And you talk about teachers, and I love teachers, because teachers, the right teacher, I should say, can have a defining, profound impression upon young ones. And you share a story about a teacher that you appear to really love this teacher. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, her name was Miss Rainey, but she was in theater arts. She was a theater arts teacher, and she was overweight. She was an amazing human being, and I say this not lightly. I mean, she was the walking epitome of an earth angel with all the compassion and love that this lady had. She adopted 8 children. All the children were of different nationalities.
Wow.
And she might have had a couple of the same, but there was no color. So when I came into her class, I took that class out of, okay, well, this is going to be an easy class. Like any teenager, we try to find some high school courses to get the credit. But, I fell in love with theater arts, and she was very supportive of me. She was very trying to push me out there, like, you can do this. She's like, I believe in you, and I see things in you. And it wasn't just me, but I did have a fondness of her, because after my years of school with her, I would still go back. I would still call her after I graduated. So she was just very caring, and also in the book where you explain, I explain about my parents. I love both of my parents dearly.
Right.
They both have different personalities. My mother, growing up, I felt no love. My dad, to me, was my mother and father, because he gave me the compassion. He cuddled me. He nurtured me. And he also pushed me in sports and athletics and in music and in dance. Well, this lady was around, and I, again, calling her a human angel, she gave the push and the support that, like the motherly.
She gave you that feminine energy that you needed.
Exactly. That's exactly what it, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly right.
Oh, yeah.
So she was just an amazing person. She believed in me dearly, and she believed in people as a whole, and it was kind of nice, because you didn't see that. And you still, like in high school, we still had cliques and stuff, and she was like, there's no cliques. You're all the same.
That's right.
Nothing is different about you guys other than your hair color, your eye color, your skin color, but you're all the same. And she kind of like broke us down in that way, which is good.
That's
because people get in the mindset, and even in high school, we're still molding that we're better than one another, and she would break you back down. You're not. You're exactly the same. And no matter where we were in life, no matter what house we lived in, what street we lived in, we were all the same when we walked in her class, like uniform, like private school. Everybody wears the same uniform, and she was the same way with us, but on what I considered a more emotional, spiritual level. And I got more of that spiritual feminine energy touch in my life from her personality and molding and the stuff that she would say, because even though it'd be light, it's very profound.
That's
and
right.
Still resonates. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's good. And that says a lot about her and how her energy resonated with you, because that's exactly what you needed at that particular time.
That's exactly right.
Sure. And so, I mean, and it also kind of helped you to develop that kind of that thing to kind of go with your instincts, and it kind of it kind of pushes you to develop what your passions are. Fitness, you said she was overweight, so that aspect of it kind of clicked with you. You want to, it kind of helped you to learn how, okay, I want to learn how to do something about this kind of a condition, and I want to learn how to do something about and help other girls that have gone through what you've been through.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's good, because that's where that discipline comes in.
Right.
She helped you to really hone your disciplinary skills and learn that, because you talk about that on one of the some of the information we have about food, how some people do allow food to overtake their life, especially some people when they are in depression, they go into eating, and some people go into starving. So it can go to both spectrums, when we really should have a balance in our life on how to deal with these things. And that discipline you got. And I love teachers because I went to my 45th anniversary and I should say class reunion a couple of years ago, and I'm still in touch with 2 or 3 of my teachers who had a profound impact upon my life, to the point I'm sharing them in an upcoming book that I'm writing, and Aim to Purpose, Living with Joy, Peace, and Prosperity. And I know the impact that teachers, good teachers, can have upon students. It can be lasting. And I love when you shared that in the book about that, and your spirituality, you talked about that in the book too. And did they, in this teacher that you talk about, or the other teacher, because you talked about another teacher, that did they have anything to do with your spirituality? And how do you feel about spirituality versus religion and so forth?
I think I would have to say yes. It's not, but it's not just the teachers. There are everyday experiences. You know, again, going back to when I was younger and I was going to private school, I started questioning things because it didn't feel right internally, and so I was, we're religion. Okay, so I was Catholic. I was, for all of my life, and then I'm like, okay, this doesn't sound right, but why would God want this? Why would God punish people? God's loving, and this doesn't feel right. And I'm like, and I was hearing that you wouldn't get this if you didn't do this, and it's all, it's always about the tithe and money, but it's giving comes from the heart. Right. That karma and that good energy, those good vibes come back naturally when we're forcing people. Pay me this while you're here, and in a nice way. Even though it's a nice way, drop money in the bin in the basket, and if you don't, then people are looking at you. And at my church, we have envelopes, so they have your name, so they can check off and know who's given, contributed, or not. And to me, that's not religion. Jesus never took money from people. Never. He would feed himself last. That is service.
Right. You're right.
While I don't believe in religion, I do believe in the figures, that the prophets and what I call ascended masters that came trying to teach us things. And but that's undeniable. But religion and the strictness, and it's black or white. I don't live black or white. I've seen so much in my life, my own experiences that I consider magical, or how in the heck, or miraculous. How in the heck could that be? This just doesn't make sense. And that's not. If I would tell the priest or someone else, depending on what type of church I'm walking into, they'd call you like crazy. And I'm like, it's not crazy, it's real, because I'm experiencing that from my experience.
Right.
And so it's just too much judgment, and it's not our job. And I don't think that, again, it goes back to God, or today I call God source, so I have to clarify.
Source energy, yes.
I love it. I love it. I love it what you're saying, because I share the same sentiments that you share, Leigh, in terms of religion. Religion has really messed up so many people. Is the most with politics also, it's the most divisive establishment in the world, and it has really divided so many of us. We have this we should have this love for one another, and we're going to talk a little bit more about love too, because you talk about that in the book, the love we should have for one another. And unfortunately in religion you don't see that, and like you said, it's always about the money, as opposed to sharing the love with one another, supporting one another. And I admire so much what you just said. You articulated that so well. Now tell me, who is Light?
Oh, that's my daughter's name. So the meaning of her name is So the meaning of her name, this is my oldest of 4 daughters, we call her Light. So that's the meaning of her name. That's not her real name, and I kept it anonymous even though I'm giving you the definition in the book of her name, of, why I've chosen spiritual names for all my kids. But she asked that it remain, her name not be put in the book, and out of respect. I put in the book. I told her I would use the definition which she okayed. So
I like that, and I knew that, and I just wanted you to bring that out, because light, and that's what we should be sharing, lots of light, and let that light just glow, because it's so energetic when we share light with one another and love one another unconditionally, and help to sharpen each other's tools as opposed to pulling each other down.
I totally agree.
Yeah, we need that. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. And what we're going to do, Leigh, unless Ken has something else for you?
No, actually, we can go to a break, and then when we come back, we're going to get into what made you get into fitness, and then we're going to talk about Shesique Magazine.
Yes.
Hey, my baby.
Your baby girl. Okay,
so
let's take a break.
Let's take a break.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. Yes, don't go nowhere. Hello, world. Hey, it's the 1-year anniversary of Aim to Purpose, the radio show. So first, we thank the staff at Global Voice Broadcasting for the platform and the opportunity. Go to gvbstudios.com/show/A2P. Next, we thank our wonderful guests that have graced the airwaves of Aim to Purpose over the past year, like Dr. Caldwell B. Esselstyn from the documentary Forks Over Knives, Nazir Alim Bey with his soon-to-be-released documentary entitled Melanin, the God Particle, from the Citizens Commission on Human Rights, Dr. Jeffrey A. Shaler, and Professor Baron K. Brown, who's become a regular on the show. Internationally, we've had guests such as Bridget Nkuna and Sarah Jane Farrell from South Africa, award-winning author F.T. Camargo from Brazil, Brenda Pierce, the Empowered Nurse from Canada, double Olympic medalist from the British cycling team Brian Steele, and many other great guests that have openly shared their knowledge, humor, wit, and wisdom with the A2P universe. And most important, we thank you, the listening and viewing audience, for tuning in each and every Monday. Information is power, and the more our audience grows, the more open minds that'll receive the information, which makes all of us powerful. So we encourage all of you to spread the word about Aim to Purpose, the radio show. Lastly, if you know someone with a product, business, or foundation that's interested in advertising as a sponsor for the show, contact A2P host Louise Hicks at louisehicks.biz or Shamika Brown at divinebrownmedia.com. Be a part of the A2P movement, as there is always power in numbers of like minds that multiply. And follow us on social media at Aim to Purpose, #A2P. Once again, thank you all from Aim to Purpose, the radio show.
Hello, world, again. We are back, and we're having a great conversation here today with our guest who has called us in from Florida, and Leigh Hickombottom. And the conversation today we're talking about is life, fitness, and higher wisdom. And Leigh has been so open with us and shedding light on her life that is an inspiration to me. And we just finished talking about her being a mother of 4. And now we want to get into the fitness aspect of Leigh's life, and which she brings out in the book, and we want to talk a little bit about it, but we're not going to give the book away, because you need to go out and buy this book. And Still I Smile, an optimistic guide to life, fitness, and higher wisdom.
That's right.
So Leigh, how did you happen to get into the fitness? Give us a little bit. I know we've talked a little bit about it, but give us a little bit more information on what was the most inspirational thing that really got you into this, because when we look at your picture here, we can see how fit you really are.
Look at that.
Yes.
Look at that. And Leigh, being a fitness trainer myself and owner of a fitness and wellness business, I admire you.
I admire you. You're doing your thing. You're helping keep America well. Yes.
Yeah, because guess what? A lot of women today, a lot of women feel like they can't not necessarily look like this, but they feel like they can't be as healthy as we all know that we're designed to be. You know, we're not supposed to be overweight and have diabetes and heart disease and high blood pressure and every other illness known to man. You name the disease here in America, we got it.
And I don't have any of those diseases, Leigh, and I'm 64.
I don't believe we brought it in. I think we're developing all this stuff.
Right. That's right.
I'm telling you, we shouldn't be having those diseases. I'm 64 and I don't have high blood pressure. I don't have diabetes, and I don't have any of those. And looking at you, I can't believe you've had 4 kids.
Right.
Yes. And it's funny because you spoke of a couple of the books that I've written, but they're the very 2 first books, and I call them booklets because they're very small. Is Logistics of Leanness and Logistics of Leanness Defined, and where I actually give my secrets of how I maintain my weight after having these pregnancies, where I range from 54 to 60 pounds with them.
Wow.
And it was not muscle. Believe me, I look totally different. I look like a Oompa Loompa. But, Charlie's Chocolate Factory.
You look like a what now?
People didn't
Oompa Loompa.
You look like a Oompa Loompa.
My own weight, but people really did not recognize me out in public. The latter part of my pregnancy. But to go back a second on how I got into the fitness industry, my parents were very good in making sure that we stayed busy. So my twin and I, they put us in sports from a young age. They put us in anything, the arts. I danced. I played. I did ballet. I took jazz dance. I played every sport there is, just so that my parents, I think they kind of wanted us to find our niche and stick with it. And they kept us athletic. My dad was extremely athletic. And there was a girl that I had, I would talk to, and she was night and day for me. I'm short, black, cute. At the time I had short hair. And so she was tall. She was like 5'8", 5'9", blonde hair, blue eyes, amazing body.
Yeah.
And she modeled. And I was like, and I would look at my body, and again, you can't, I'm the type of person, unless you have the exact DNA and everything, 100% of everything, you really can't compare.
That's
Everything's a blessing and unique gift put here, period. But I was like, okay, well, if she's doing modeling, and I know that I have abs, I'm like, and my body was in great shape, and I knew at the time, so it was a little bit of a confidence thing, but not in an arrogance way by any means.
Right.
I'm like, I know I could do this. Anyhow, I signed on with Nutrex. They're based out of Florida, and came here with actually 3 of my daughter's father, and I started doing their ads for their original fat burner. And during that time, my mentor before he passed, Bob Kennedy, I contacted him, and he saw my pictures, and he loved my symmetry, and he's like, hey, you look good this way, you look good that way, no matter what you do in the aesthetics of things. So I shot with him, or his magazine Oxygen, and then they for a while, I think it was like a year, because I got pregnant. I didn't do anything, and then right as soon as my pregnancy with my second child happened, I shot with them again, and then I stayed, and it didn't stop, and they continued to use me over and over and over and over and over and over again, which I am so grateful for.
Yeah.
So because of that, my biggest thing is Bob Kennedy believing in me and seeing something that no one saw, or that I knew was within myself. This is another person he's extremely important to me in my life. In the book I write about a couple of male figures that were in my life, who are neither one are here today, that left a huge impact and helped develop character and saw things in me that other people did not. So he's very important. So I'm here because of him. Got to say thank you, Bobby.
That's right.
And that's great. And did you see these things in yourself? Because looking at your body here and how you had 4 kids, and I know it's significant too when you are representing an image to have that image yourself.
Right.
Yeah, it's true. It's funny. Before I got into it, and even during the time I would get into it, do the fitness modeling, there's always usually you're your own worst critique, and I really am. While I can notice this, I'll notice, something on my body that I don't agree with at the moment. I'm like, but I think because we get in a place where society dictates what we should look like, the self-esteem goes low. This goes into the self-love that's also written about in the book. So we go outside of ourselves to define ourselves, and it's not real. And so for me, while I knew internally I had a great body, it's just like you still have those people beating you down. Like you said, there's something positive, and someone's like, okay, well, you have this there, and you have that there, and you're too this, you're too that. And so you kind of had, to deal with that. But I knew that there was something. And if someone such as Bob could see this in me, then, I mean, it's to me it felt real because he was a very sincere person. This is a man, for instance, I would go shoot, and then I'd, like a few months later, he'd be like, "Okay, you have a little bit too much pudge here, or what are you doing? Are you working out?" And so it's funny. He was probably one of the most honest people I've had in my life, and very grateful. For that.
He kept you on point.
Exactly.
He kept you on point, because some people don't believe that. For example, some of my clients, they are the last people to see the results. Everyone else around them will say, "Hey, you're losing weight."
Yeah, that's right.
You're losing weight, but the client themselves, they don't see it when they look in the mirror. They're the last ones to see it. They don't see it until 6 months to a year later when they're all the way trimmed down. They don't see the progress that goes on in the months in between. Everybody else will see it, but
that's right.
But the client themselves will see it last. And so your mentor saw something in you, like you said, that you may not have seen in yourself at first.
And that's great, because mentors are great people. And let's get into the magazine. Shesique, did I pronounce it right? Shesique.
Yep. Perfect.
You talk about crystals in the book too. Now, did you line these crystals up, Leigh, and say, "Well, I'm just going to line up these crystals and I'm starting this magazine"?
Well, I think I had a little push on the other side, podcast, crystals. Yes, I love crystals. I'm big on energy, so I really believe everything has energy. Everything has energy.
Everything.
Certain all crystals in general, they have they can affect our own aura. Once something is placed in our aura, be that a thought or be that something physical that we can touch and hold and feel, it affects our energy system.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
I do. I'm a big. If you walk around my house, you're trying to give me a hug. You give me a hug and you feel a knot. I'm okay. It's a crystal.
Yeah.
So,
and I love this magazine. I took a look at it. I love it. And you have multicultural, multi-talented people all throughout your magazine, that including your daughter. So how did that come about? And tell us just a little bit about the magazine.
For sure. Again, I have to give credit to Bobby, because we're talking about, the situation yesterday, was in an industry where, I talked to Bob Kennedy often, and he would explain to me how things worked. And like many businesses, there's a little bit of politics and stuff that happens. And I'm like, so if, for instance, if you looked at a cover, you probably wouldn't see a back-to-back black cover, or even if it's not black, a dark cover. So it wouldn't be like black Spanish. It'd be black or whatever the darker skin tone. Then they would automatically go to like a blonde or a red. Then they would tone it down. There's a system to it, to the fitness covers and stuff. So I think my disappointment in just knowing that this exists, or that people can, kind of pay to do stuff, and it wasn't about the person being beautiful internally or externally, and not understanding me being a melting pot. I'm Native American, I'm African American, obviously, and I have Irish and other stuff in me. So it's like I can't relate to someone who doesn't, or not even pretend to relate to someone who doesn't resemble something of me. So I just kind of thought it wasn't fair. So and what I see and where I was raised in Texas, I saw everything and all the beautiful tones, textures of beautiful women, and they were multiracial. So, so what we see was, usually Caucasian, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm not downing Caucasian by any means, but it's just, that wasn't reality. That's not the reality of what you see in your everyday world. It's more, more than that. You have
that is true.
So when I opened my magazine, I decided to do it to where it's not about your color, it's about the person that you are. And then it's also about you being fit, having a healthy lifestyle. So to me, it was deep. It comes from depth. It's not coming from, they just have to look good and they have to be one shade. There's a rainbow of beautiful people that we haven't even discovered.
Yes.
And so I'm like, I wanted something where I just threw on whoever it was because they were the right person for the cover at the time.
Right.
No politics. Just truth.
And that's what you did too. And I love this magazine, Shesique. How can people find this magazine?
It is an online magazine, so by going to the website, SHESIQUE.com, they would have access to it. You can click on it and flip through. Have fun, have a blast.
Oh yeah, have fun, because she has all these women, and there's only one man. I think that's the photographer, right? And all these women from all different ethnicities.
Yeah.
They share with you an abundance of qualities that you can empower yourself with, and I love it. It's very empowering.
Yeah. I've seen the website, and you have you have a pretty decent staff as well. And the models, like you said, they are from different cultural and ethnic backgrounds, which makes it even more beautiful and different because we don't get to see that in the mainstream too often.
No, we don't.
we don't get to see a totally different side of modeling or beauty at that, because again, the collective consciousness is the all around Caucasian woman on the cover or walking down the runway.
That's right.
Yes, and I love it.
And I wanted to also give people depth.
Depth, yes.
To their spiritual self and empower women, because we do live in a world where women tear women down, men, tear men down and everything else. So there's always something trying to beat you down, but I want to inspire women to self-love themselves, and so that no matter what they go through or what's thrown at them, it ricochets.
Yeah.
You have to be at a place to where it doesn't you're not affected by it, because you're so confident in who you are and love yourself so much. We all have flaws. I have many flaws, and I tell people I have great gifts that Source has given me this life, spiritual and physical. But I still go through life learning. It's a journey.
That's
it's a
right.
process. But I never stay in a victim mode. So I want the women to be empowered and love their body, no matter what. It's about being healthy.
That's exactly what you've done, and that's why I brought this show on. And this show derived from aspiration, inspiration, motivation, edification, and determination, which is what AIMED is all about, and pursuing your purpose and empowering. And you must have vision, hope, faith, knowledge, and most of all, you must take action. And that's what I love so much about this. And in the minutes we have left, I want you to shed some light, because you talk a lot about self-love, and that's so important, because if you don't love yourself, you really can't love others. And we want to learn, live, and love. So shed a little light on self-love and how you talk about that in the book briefly.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's not funny, but we're all here. Every single one of us have something that we have to deal with within loving ourselves. None of us are perfect. We wouldn't be here. It's a journey. It's a light. It's a growing. But I feel like it's important for us to love ourselves. One, like you just said, you can't love yourself, love other people if you don't love yourself. And what we see that we complain about in life are mirrors of things that we have to actually accept about our own things, our interactions with people. We didn't like the way they talk. You sometimes think like that and just not speak it. It's like getting us to appreciate. I wrote in the book, I have scars on my body. You guys may not see that. I have scars. I feel there are certain parts of my body I'm not, I'm like, oh man, I have to work a little bit harder, or I might complain about, but there is nobody in the world that I would change my body for theirs for, because you learn to appreciate yourself, and once you appreciate yourself, I'm talking about magnetizing great things,
right.
great things, true
right.
light, true love, true experiences of greatness.
That's
right. And you're so right. And we need to wrap it up. But I just want to share quickly this quote, because you have lots of quotes in the last part of the book. And it says, sure, there are distractions along the way. They teach you to focus on the goal right in front of you, unwavering with determination and the will to see it straight to the end. And that's your quote. And I love that quote. And you have lots of quotes in the book. So with that being said, let's have a final thought from you, Leigh, and then we appreciate you coming on the show, and have a final thought and give us how you can be reached, because you've given us about the magazine.
Final thought for listeners. This world is always going to have experiences to try to bring us to come back to a place within ourselves, to love ourselves, and to spread that light. Come in connection to our connection to God's source, or whomever you may call the higher power. We're all connected. What you do to another person, it dominoes. So let's start spreading love. Let's spread light. Accept certain things. You can accept that a person is this way and not choose to have it a part of your experience. But the judgment, that needs to stop, because we have things within our own lives that we need to take care of. And I can be reached. My website is my name, and it's super long, but it's Leigh Hickombottom.com. I'm sure that'll be written up somewhere.
It's on the screen. LeighHickombottom.com.
Yep.
And we want to thank you so much, Leigh, for coming on, sharing your light and your journey with us today. We what a beautiful conversation. And please go out. I'll show the book one more time. Please go out and buy Leigh's book, because it's an amazing book here. And Still I Smile. So with that being said, always remember, your power lies within you. Let it loose. And thank you, Leigh.
Until next week.
Guys.
Yes.